Snap Studios.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
This show is supported by Odoo. When you buy business software from lots of vendors, the costs add up and it gets complicated and confusing. Odoo solves this. It's a single company that sells a suite of enterprise apps that handles everything from accounting to inventory to sales. Odoo is all connected on a single platform in a simple and affordable way. You can save money without missing out on the features you need. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
I like to cook, right? Lots of things, but I'm known for my chili. With some cornbread, it is all of that. I've got a friend who's all,
"This recipe you sent me is missing something. It doesn't taste like yours. I'm gonna watch you make it."
Okay. So I start with the onions, the kidney beans, tomatoes, the garlic, the ground beef, if you like it. Add some chili powder. I tell her the secret is to use a little bit of brown sugar. She says,
"Stop playing with me. Everybody knows about brown sugar."
Okay, well, you gotta lightly simmer it. Don't cook it too fast. You know, gotta get some salt and some pepper to bring the flavor out. And she's getting angrier and angrier at my antics. And the truth is, she has a point. And I'm wrong for this. I am a very bad person. But every good chef saves a couple secrets back. The magic that can turn something delicious into something extraordinary. So when I ask her to please pull me a beer from the fridge, she doesn't see me add a couple heaping tablespoons of my ploy green Thai curry paste to the bubbling beans. But a few minutes later, when she tastes it, she screams bloody murder at the top of her lungs.
"What did you do?"
What did you do? Today in Snap Judgment, we're looking for that extra ingredient, that special something that turns the mundane into the sublime. Snap proudly presents Feelabeelia. My name is Glenn Washington, and you should never act innocent to people who are holding kitchen knives when you're listening to Snap Judgment. Now, we're going to begin by sticking your tunes into the cassette deck of the DeLorean, because we're traveling back to 1984. Nick Murphy is a man with big hair and bigger dreams. He and his funk band have just signed a Cinderella deal with Warner Brothers and the Quincy Jones. I'm going to drop another recording session at a studio deep in the English countryside. Take it away, Nick. Snap Judgment.
We're working on this track, Feel It, one Saturday, and we get a call on the studio phone.
Okay, pause. I need you to fully appreciate the moment that we're in before we can go any further. It's 1984, aka the most prolific year in modern music history. If this band were to put down their instruments and turn on the radio, the newest hits, like from the last 6 months, would be Time After Time, Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go, Born in the USA, What's Love Got to Do With It, Comma Chameleon, When Doves Cry, and literally 100 more tunes that will go certified platinum in approximately 2.5 seconds and reach the highest echelons of notoriety in the Pop Culture Hall of Fame for decades to come. Technology is on a tear. You don't have to be a millionaire to get your hands on a sweet synthesizer. Phil Collins is giving us the quintessential sound of the 80s, gated reverb drums. And the music video for a little song called Thriller is single-handedly putting the heretofore struggling MTV on the map. In 1984, the music industry is living it up. It's a nonstop party where nobodies with mullets are becoming somebodies with mullets overnight. And Nick and his friends in the studio, they have just been ushered behind the metaphorical velvet rope.
I was a bin man. I used to do the dustbins, the trash.
They're not used to rubbing elbows with elites. But soon, everyone would know their name.
Feelabeelia.
Yeah, Feelabeelia.
They said, what does it mean? I said, absolutely nothing. I said, that's perfect.
Because worldwide success doesn't have to make sense. Not in 1984. Okay, now that you're caught up, let's get back to that studio in the English countryside.
We're working on this track, Feel It, one Saturday, and we get a call on the studio phone.
Nick put down his drumsticks and picked up the receiver.
This guy goes, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm Stevie Wonder's manager."
Superstition, isn't she lovely? Higher ground. And by that point, 12 Grammys to his name. That Stevie Wonder.
I was a bit like, is this a hoax? That's the first thing I thought. Is it one of my mates rang me up? And I said, yeah, this is Isaac Hayes. And the guy goes, no, I really am Stevie Wonder's manager. Steve is doing a show tonight at the Birmingham NEC. Afterwards, he says, Stevie would like to come and record at the studio.
Stevie was in the middle of a huge UK tour, but he was also on deadline to finish up a new song for the soundtrack of an upcoming movie. And those soundtracks could be crazy lucrative. Remember that searing 1984 romantic thriller Against All Odds? Of course you don't. Nobody does. But what does live rent-free in your brain is the Phil Collins mega hit Take a Look at Me Now from the soundtrack. That song minted money, nabbed a Grammy nomination, and is currently being belted out in a karaoke bar somewhere in the world at this very moment. Stevie's manager had asked around and found out that the studio Feelabeelia was using had the exact same equipment Stevie used at home. Could Stevie and his band just borrow the studio for a few hours?
So I turned around to the lads in the studio and I said to them, what do you reckon? And they said, well, if it really is Steve, well, yeah, no problem. Right? If he comes and we just meet him, even if it's just hello and that's it, and then security don't let us anywhere near him, whatever, that's worth it. So we said, yeah, come.
And Nick settled in for one of the longest waits of his life.
I'll be honest with you, from about 8 o'clock that evening, every minute seemed like about an hour. We sort of half record and half mess around, playing soccer in the garden and stuff.
They drifted between the recording studio and the garden, unable to focus on anything but the clock.
About 10 o'clock, we were snacking, I suppose, really, and just having a few beers. What do you reckon? Do you reckon it'll happen? And we were all like, you know what? Yeah, I do.
Now that they were signed to one of the biggest record labels in the world, yes, anything was possible. When Quincy Jones and Warner Brothers first brought them to L.A., they ran into Whitney Houston.
Whitney,
But this wouldn't be just another celebrity sighting. To Nick, stars didn't come any bigger or brighter than Stevie Wonder.
Stevie Wonder, to myself, absolute hero. My father was a jazz pianist. Since I was 14, 15 and stuff, my dad used to play You Are the Sunshine of My Life in his band. I used to play for my dad's band when his drummer was on holiday. Not knocking anyone. They were all good. They were all really good, but they didn't set the sights high enough for me. I want the world,
All this was turning round in Nick's mind as the night stretched on.
About 1:15 or something in the morning, all of a sudden you could hear this engine outside, because the studio was about 3 miles out of Farnham, so it literally was in the countryside in the middle of nowhere. It was an old farm. There's no other traffic that time of night down that road.
The other inhabitants of the farm were on high alert.
The farm had geese, and they all started because they didn't recognise anyone. Yeah, they're better than any guard dogs. Geese are. We go out the front door, and it's like a big drivey bit with all pebbles and stuff on it. We were expecting Stevie Wonder in a car with maybe his manager or something. We weren't expecting a coach to be out there, right, with about 50 people on, because it was all of the people that were on tour with Stevie. So they all just exit the coach and descend into the grounds and then descend into the house, into the kitchen.
And then, as if conjured out of thin air, he appeared.
And then it was like Stevie came in. He said, "Evening, gentlemen," like that. And he sort of said it in a sort of British accent. He was bigger than I expected. He's about the same build as me, about 6'1", 6'2", something like that. He's in a grey tracksuit and he's looking fit, man. Bum ting, as we say over here. Yeah, it means, if someone said bum ting, that's like, hench, you're looking good. We were like, just gobsmacked, just like, oh my God, it really has happened. It's one of those things. They said, we'll be gone by the morning. And we said, we don't care if you stay all weekend, we're not bothered.
They gave Stevie space to do his thing in the studio and went to hang out in another part of the building.
So we were now in the kitchen with the rest of the band. We met Wonderlove. Wonderlove is Stevie's backing singers. They're just amazing singers and they've worked with him forever. We were just having a good time, just listening to tracks and drinking, and they were all wide awake. They weren't tired. So we're partying in the kitchen, and then Stevie comes in with his manager, and one of the guys is eating some cake, and Stevie's like, "Who's got a cake like this?" Right? It was like, "Oh, you want some?" So one of the guys cuts him a piece, gives him a bit of cake, and then he wanted to go to the bathroom, and it was like, someone said, "I'll show you." And he goes, "It's all right, I already know where it is." He said, "I can smell where it is." He comes back into the kitchen, and then he goes back to the studio, and we saw our chance and thought, let's go and have a look, see what he's doing. So myself, Mark and Andy, who was the keyboard player and the singer, we sort of followed them back in.
A producer had rolled up the sleeves on his members-only jacket, and his fingers were flying over a mixing board.
And there's plenty of room. You could have had 10 people in there, and the producer and that sitting at the desk, and then everyone else is around them from the back.
Stevie was in the recording studio, sitting at, where else? The piano.
He'd already done his recording. They were just listening back to it.
I just called to say I love you. I just called.
And the track that Stevie was singing, I just called to say I love you.
I just couldn't believe how great Stevie Wonder's voice is. Even though I've got all of his albums, they solo the vocal so you could just hear him. And you hear this voice come, and it's just like, it's perfect pitch, perfect control, no technology on it, just the pure voice.
As the producers continued to play back the song, Nick took a closer listen.
The music is dun 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 dun, cha cha cha. And I was thinking, how cheesy is that? I thought, no, man, surely he's having a laugh, no, sure enough, if you listen to it, at the end, and it just reminds me of my dad used to do these gigs, and it would be for people dancing, Honestly, I couldn't get over it.
Nick knew what he had to do. He took a deep breath, cleared his throat, and told Stevie exactly how cheesy he thought the song was. No, I'm just playing. Oh, you didn't believe me, did you? Nick didn't have a death wish for his career. He kept his mouth shut. Even though he did kind of have a point about that. When the producers were done with the song, Stevie came back into the control room to debrief with the members of Feelabeelia.
And then Stevie said, so, what are you guys doing? Yeah, I'd like to hear some of yours.
Nick's eyebrows shot up. They could play Feel It, their soon-to-be debut single. It was one of the tracks that had gotten them their record deal with Quincy Jones.
Stevie listens to it and, he's nodding and tapping and, so I thought, he likes the beat anyway, so that's my job done because I'm the drummer. And no, he liked it. He liked Mark's voice. He said, the guy's got a good, strong voice. But it could do with like a middle 8-bit. Right? It just needs something just to break it up and then come back out again. Right? It just needs something, And I said, well, do it then.
Well, you heard that right. Nick just told his hero, Stevie Wonder, to come up with a little something for his song. Like he said it to the man's face, didn't even say please when we return. How will Stevie respond? Stay tuned. Do you remember what it's like to wake up feeling refreshed, ready for the day? I didn't. I didn't know I didn't, but I didn't. But my Legend hybrid mattress from Leicester, it's become my reset button. It's supportive without being stiff. It's soft without sinking. And somehow it's exactly what I need for genuine rest every single night. And I'm telling you, it's not just the night, it's the waking up. The waking up, it's wow. No wonder Lisa's been awarded Best Hybrid and Best Memory Foam Mattress by the New York Times Wirecutter, and it's featured by West Elm as their go-to mattress partner. Lisa isn't just about sleep, it's about impact. They work with local nonprofits across the U.S. to donate thousands of mattresses each year to families in need, with over 43,000 mattresses donated to date. Go to Lisa.com for 25% off select mattresses, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code SNAP, exclusive for my listeners. That's LEESA.com, promo code SNAP for 25% off select mattresses, plus an extra $50 off. Support our show and let them know we sent you after checkout. Lisa.com, promo code SNAP.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
Welcome back to Snap Judgment, the Feelabeelia episode. When last we left, aspiring funk band Feelabeelia happened to find themselves in the same studio as international superstar Stevie Wonder. Now, Stevie's just listened to their debut track, and Nick the drummer, he has the gall to suggest to Stevie that he add some of his magic. How dare he? Snap Judgment.
I'm like that all the time. I cut to the chase, But no, it was a bit cheeky, I do admit. It was a bit cheeky to, ask the biggest star in the world.
Yeah, it was cheeky. But also unintentionally strategic.
I just thought he probably wouldn't say anything or ignore that he'd even heard me say it. And he went, yeah, okay. I was surprised by his answer, I think, more than anything. Then he said to his manager, get the girls in.
That's when Nick realized Stevie had taken him seriously.
So his manager got Wonderlove, brought them into the studio, and they sat round this piano, and he's singing this bit and playing the piano, and he's giving them all of the bits to do. And it's a fantastic harmony thing. Only Stevie could have thought of it, I'm sure about that. And then they proceed to record onto a piece of the track. This part sounds like it was written in the track when we wrote it. I don't know how he did it without splicing or doing anything. It was just like perfect. And then he goes, probably a solo as well, something. I went, well, you know. And he went, yeah, okay. I think he was getting used to me by then. He got his harmonica out and he proceeded to put one of his trademark solos onto our track. Then he played it all back again, listened to the whole thing, listened to his solo. He was happy with what they'd done. We were in disbelief in what they'd done.
And what Stevie had done was give Feelabeelia an amazing gift. Signed, sealed, and delivered. But all fairy tales have to come to an end. The clock was about to strike midnight. Well, actually, 7 a.m.
Their manager went, we've got to go because we've got to go to the next show.
And with that, Stevie, their unlikely fairy godfather, took his tapes, gathered up Wonderlove, and disappeared into the morning mist.
I don't think he said goodbye, no. I think he just said thanks. I think he thought he was really putting us out, but he wasn't. The coach rolls off. You hear it go off into the distance. Yeah, you can hear the birds in the trees.
Even the geese didn't know how to process their feelings. They were way more aggro than usual.
And they're all fighting, geese are. So you got them all going at each other and one thing and another, or having a go at us mainly. There was a kitchen full of debris, bottles and everything empty. We're in the garden with a mug of tea and stuff, and we're just sitting there, just smiling. Couldn't stop smiling. Did that really just happen? Was it a dream? I wanted to tell the whole world. You know, I wanted to stand at the top of Trafalgar Square in London and shout to everyone that Stevie's just played on our single.
Nick decided to start with his dad.
I said, Dad, Stevie Wonder's just played harmonica on our single. And he was like, come home, son, the drugs are too strong.
But though it's true that Nancy Reagan's
Just Say No
wasn't exactly taking off in the music industry, sorry, Nancy, Nick wasn't high and he wasn't dreaming. Stevie Wonder really had blessed 2 tracks with his musical presence that night. 2 months later, the first was released. With its easy-to-follow lyrics, when I Just Called to Say I Love You hit the airwaves, it immediately got stuck in the heads of anyone who heard it. Which is to say, it became a runaway success.
It was a massive hit.
Feelabeelia's Stevie-infused track dropped just a few weeks later. And Nick was ready to join I Just Called to Say I Love You at the top of the charts.
My dad always used to listen to this, you know, like old fogies radio station, Radio 4. It's only for old people, you know. If I got in the car, I'd always change his station. So we'd put it on Radio 1. And then one day I put it on and our track came on and that was it. My dad turned it up and he was like so proud. He was like, that's it, you've made it.
But there was one crucial hitch. That signature harmonica solo on Feel It had to remain a mystery.
That was a real sort of kick in the ribs.
Motown was a rival record label, and the word came down from management. They could play the track, but with no mention of the collaboration between Stevie Wonder and Feelabeelia.
Record companies and stuff, it was all real backstabbing and one thing, you know, proper anything they can do to bring another one down. Yeah, we were doing radio interviews all the time.
Feel It was released in Germany, Italy, and Japan. And whenever the question about that harmonica solo came up,
no mention of Stevie Wonder. Felt awful. Felt like my hands were tied behind my back.
But as they got ready to crack the U.S. market, they still had an ace up their sleeves. Their record label had just invested in that oh-so-exciting new form of promotion, a music video. MTV had helped turn the UK band Duran Duran into household names in Ohio and could do the same for them.
When we did the video and everyone was like, God, they're going to love that video. The record company, they loved it. You know, anyone involved in the industry loved it. And they just said, yeah, MTV, they'll go crazy for that one.
But the video had a fatal flaw. In trying not to say anything about Stevie Wonder, they ended up saying something worse.
Stevie Wonder and Wonderlove were portrayed as cartoon characters, and we were like real-life characters. MTV played it once, and our management informed us that MTV weren't going to play the video anymore because they deemed it racist, as we portrayed Stevie Wonder and Wonderlove as black cartoon characters. It's like from the biggest high to having Stevie playing on your track, everything else, to the biggest low that you're not allowed to say anything that is on your track, to the biggest even lower, going down into sub-bass mode now, is then when it's not selling very well and it's going even further down, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. You know, it's like you feel helpless.
That's right. Feel It was bombing in the US and the UK. Okay, so there's so many things that could go right or wrong. Like, nobody can predict what's going to be popular. What if you were able to say this was Stevie Wonder's song, but then it still bombed? Like, wouldn't that have been a possibility?
Well, yeah, don't be wrong. You know, that could have happened, but I don't think it would have happened. I'm not just saying it because, yeah, he played on our single, but I can't think of a bigger artist. And it's like, you know, with the MTV thing, you know, the public buy what the public see, what the public hear. Right? If they don't see it and they don't hear it, how do they know what to buy? So I honestly think it would have been a massive hit.
Stevie's harmonica did seem to have a Midas effect in the mid-'80s. He did a solo on Chaka Khan's I Feel For You, which went to #1 in the UK at the same time that I Just Called to Say I Love You was literally being played non-stop on every car radio, in every grocery store, in every Walkman. Nick was obsessed. From sunup to sundown, all he could think about was the one thing he wasn't supposed to say.
We did an interview with Gary Davis from Radio 1. We'd come to the end of all of the promotion for the single. This was one of the last interviews that we had. And I think that was the day when it all got me. I was in a bad mood. Everything was going wrong. Gary Davis, he said, I understand there's a very famous harmonica player on here. I literally thought, well, what are they going to do? You know, what can they do? You know, you shouldn't have said that, naughty boy, you know. It's just like, no. You know what, I'm just going to say it. And I just went, yes, Stevie Wonder. And the next thing I look, and through the recording studio window, I can see my management. They're making like cutthroat suggestions at me and stuff like this, going, oh, no, you know, like, no. Gary Davis, he's looking at me like, great, he's got an exclusive, you know. I think he was really happy. The rest of my band are laughing because they knew that I was getting fed up of it. So I thought, well, it's out now, isn't it? So we'll see what happens.
And what happened was that the record labels weren't happy. And sure enough, when the album dropped, it also tanked. Now, Feelabeelia's music was actually pretty good. But remember, this is 1984 we're talking about. Arguably the most prolific year in modern music history. Quincy Jones and Warner Brothers didn't have time for good. They were gunning for legendary, or they weren't checking for you at all. In short order, Nick and his bandmates were summoned to Los Angeles. Warner told them they weren't feeling it anymore. If the music industry was the hottest club in town, Feelabeelia were now on the wrong side of that velvet rope. They were done.
I was floored, absolutely floored. It was like, yeah, one of the worst days of my life. But, you know, you can't argue with the general public, can you? They only buy what they like.
And what they liked was I Just Called to Say I Love You. It's actually Stevie's only #1 hit in the UK to this day.
I was pleased for him. Not particularly my favourite Stevie track. He's wrote probably 3,000 tracks better than that one.
Nick was back to living a regular life in Leicester. He was cleaning up around the house one day when he decided to turn on the radio.
I heard the track on the radio, and as soon as I heard the harmonica, I knew it was Stevie Wonder. And then when the track finished, the DJ said, and that's Eurythmics with Stevie Wonder. And I'm just like, oh my God. It's like, oh, well, he's played on anyone's now, you know.
I also have a song that Stevie Wonder, just playing again. But for real though, maybe some of the magic has worn off from that night when Stevie and Wonderlove descended from the heavens. And Feelabeelia did turn out to be another 80s band that almost was a one-hit wonder. But Nick did eventually get something to show the world that it really did happen.
Stevie Wonder's had an anthology written about him, and it's got every track that he's ever played on. I was over the moon to get a copy of this. We're in it on page 204. So Stevie Wonder's acknowledged that he played on our single, and there's a whole page on us all about Feel It, the track. Yeah, thank you, Stevie. I don't think I've ever thanked you. Thank you, Stevie.
Big thanks to Nick Murphy for sharing his story with the Snap from across the pond. Nick still lives in Leicester today, and he's continuing to make dreams come true as the oldest student at the Montfort University, where he studies music technology. Right on, Nick. The original score for that piece was by Clay Xavier. It was produced by Regina Bediaco. Now, after the break, a wrestler finds the fight of his life outside the ring. Stay tuned.
Support comes from Wise, the smart way to manage the currencies you need around the globe. Fed up with losing out to hidden fees when you send your money abroad with your everyday bank? Choose the smart way, Wise. You can count on the exchange rate you'd usually find on Google. No unwelcome surprises. Plus, ditch that "where's my money" feeling. Most transfers arrive in under 20 seconds. Join millions saving billions on hidden fees. Be smart, get Wise. Download the Wise app today. T's and C's apply. Are you dealing with clothes, bedding, and towels that still don't smell fresh after the wash? Check out Blueland's new Power Duo laundry tablets for loads that need extra stain and odor-fighting power. Blueland makes household cleaning products designed to reduce single-use plastic. Their plastic-free, microplastic-free formulas are made with plant and mineral-based cleaning ingredients and without dyes, parabens, or harsh chemicals. So ditch the plastic bottle and drop a pre-measured, mess-free Power Duo laundry tablet directly into the drum for your next wash. Blueland is a certified B Corp and Leaping Bunny cruelty-free certified. Their formulas are EPA's Safer Choice certified, and many products have also earned Cradle to Cradle's Gold Material Health Certificate. If you're looking to make a small change in your routine, you can get 15% off your first order at blueland.com/PRX. That's 15% off your first order at blueland.com/PRX.
Welcome back to Snap Judgment. My name is Glenn Washington. Sensitive listeners should know this story does contain graphic imagery. Now we're traveling down to the borderlands where our own Eliza Smith meets one of the hardest working men to ever wear a mask. Snappers, I proudly present to you Cassandra!
Lucha Libre is very alive. You get there, the ring is there, the chairs are there, music is going, cumbias and salsa, and the máscaras are passing by to be sold. All of a sudden, lights go down, and music gets up, and the smoke comes out, and it's Lucha Libre time, and then people just scream their lungs out. For Lucha Libre Mexicana, for the most part, there's no predetermined like you're gonna lose or you're gonna win. Everything is decided in the ring. I'm going to win because of my talent, or I'm going to lose because I don't have the talent.
Just like in the US, where we've got The Rock and Hulk Hogan, luchadores have stage personas. Leicester, El Hijo del Santo, La Pantera Rosa, the Pink Panther. Cassandro was the best wrestler in his gym, but he still didn't know who he was in the ring.
When I became a wrestler, I started like everybody else with the máscara, with a mask and my trunk and my little wrestling boots, and that was it. That was all your gear. But I knew that I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't like it. I was like, yeah, it feels good, but this is not me. And then when Pimpinela came aboard, she was like, yeah, I've been there. So we related a lot. I just met Pimpinela in Ciudad Juarez at the gym. Pimpinela was very, very skinny, and he's super tall. And you can tell he was from a low-budget family. He was struggling. And I was like, oh, this is a new one on the block. And then Pimpinela would say like, oh, who do you think you are? We never got along so good until after we started wrestling each other and kicking each other's butts. And that's how we just became like big sisters. You would have known just by seeing us or hearing us, or that we had a different sexual identity. I was training in the gym, and one of the old timers, he was very famous from here, came and they were looking for an exótico in the biggest company that Ciudad Juarez had at that moment, 1988. And guess who they picked? They picked me. Exóticos is like it's like a flamboyant wrestler. Not necessarily an exótico has to be gay, because there has been a lot of exóticos that are not gay, that are bisexual, or that are even transsexuals. They were like the clowns of the circus, and that's what I didn't want. I didn't want to become a clown of the circus. I didn't want to become one that the people laughed at me. I want to become one that people applaud and recognize my talent in the ring.
Cassandro wanted to be a champion. He also knew that Mexico's 3-time world champion, El Hijo del Santo, had said publicly that he wouldn't wrestle exóticos.
El Hijo del Santo has said that he wanted nothing to do with an exótico, because one time Rudy Reina had the nerve to try and kiss him in the ring.
So, if he took the company's offer, he might never get to one of those big arenas. But this was his only choice. Join the company and wrestle as an exótico, or don't wrestle with the company.
You know that every luchador's dream is to wrestle in the big arenas and with the big companies. And that was my calling. So I just said, okay, I was very scared, very nervous, because I was going to be an exótico.
After the recruiter approached Cassandro, he and Pimpinela decided to move to Mexico City. Moving meant bigger matches and better opponents, but they weren't going to get anywhere without a look.
The other exóticos weren't able to use makeup, no pantyhose, no bathing suits. They would just use like trunks or singlets. And when we got together and we talked about it, we said, what do you want to wear? I said, bring the feathers and the glitter, and let's just bling bling ourselves a little bit more, and we'll take it from there. If we're gonna be exóticos, let's do this revolution. Let's go all out. We're gay, and let's just be true to ourselves, and let's see how the audience and the promoters and everybody else looks at us. I was hit harder, I was pushed down harder, and I was slapped harder, and I was spit on my face more times. I think that I had to do double the work that any normal male human luchador would do. Because first, I'm already labeled and tagged as a homosexual. Normally, the good guys are the ones that do all the great stuff, the flying, the suicide topes and everything. We're not just jesters. We have this talent. We like to walk in the ropes and fly outside the ropes and inside the ropes and do all these rolls and gymnastic stuff. And then word got around that I was good, that I was respectful, that I was disciplined. And then it took less than a year. Then the company said, we're going to give you an opportunity with El Hijo del Santo for the championship belt.
Yeah, that El Hijo. The same legendary luchador who said he'd never wrestle an exotico. The promoter handpicked Cassandro from a sea of newbie wrestlers to take on the 3-time world champion.
And I was just like, oh my God, I'm getting a big chance with El Hijo del Santo, the biggest legend of Mexico. And here I am, an exotico from Ciudad Juarez. The match was going to be January 28th, 1991. You know, in Mexico, the biggest sport after soccer is lucha libre. So we had the press. And for the most part, a lot of them were like against me. Like, why would he do the championship match with El Hijo del Santo? Why can't they pick somebody else? And I was like, well, there's a freaking reason why they chose me. And I'm going to show you if you just let me do that match.
El Hijo del Santo never responded to the negative press. Some fans and reporters were calling for him to cancel the match, but he stayed silent.
That all got to me because it was a very happy moment in my career, but in my emotional and in my life. Then I started like not believing in me and putting doubt on myself.
1 week before the match, Cassandro and Pimpinela went out to see a few lucha libre matches at the biggest arena in Mexico City. When they got to the stadium, the press ambushed Cassandro.
The question was like, do you think you're fit for the match? And they would scream stuff like that. And I think I tried to put the best face that I could, and I didn't say nothing. And when I got home in the bathroom, I don't know what triggered it or what happened, but I just knew that something was not feeling right. And when I stand up, there was a window right in front of me, and there was a razor right there. And I don't know what triggered it or how it happened. It just one of those things that just happened. I put my arm up, got the razor, put it in my mouth, cracked it open, got the knives out, and started cutting my wrist on my left hand. And I continued to cutting my wrist on my right hand. And it was like a slow process for me because I'm remembering right now just everything, how it happened. And it was just a moment where watching the blood run was okay for me. And Pimpinela came in, and he saw me, and I was already sitting in the floor with my hands bleeding. And he came in and got me and just carried me on to the living room. We called the doctor, and they fixed me, but I had some bandages on my wrist, and so I had to wear long sleeves, and I didn't like it, and I didn't want nobody to know, of course, but the word was gonna get around. And so I decided, like, you know what, you're already down, get up, pick yourself up, and go forward, do it. The fight was on a Thursday, and it was in the Arena Pista Arena Revolucion in Mexico City, 8 p.m. And then going to the arena was just like, whoa. And when I walked in the dressing room, I remember I was shaking. And I had taken Pimpinela with me because I said Pimpinela wasn't going to wrestle that night. But I said, Pimpi, you got to go with me. Come on, you got to go with me. You got to be at my corner. You got to be my second. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And he said, look, you're going to be okay. Do the best that you can. Don't let the people or the nervous get you. Here, take a sip of this tequila and it will help you. And then all of a sudden they go, okay, you guys, we're ready for you. And they go, Cassandro. And there we go. Cassandro el Exótico is the Liberace of the Lucha Libre, La Diva del Ring. Once they put that song on, I Will Survive.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cassandro.
And the doors open. That's my moment. I walk out with my big long tail gown, and people are like, wow, look at this guy. And I have my makeup and the glitter and the bling bling, and I'll do that catwalk. We start our match, and that's the time that you have to put all your knowledge to work. So we start wrestling, like doing one move after the other one, and then the people were just like, oh wow, that is very pretty. And then I would shine, he would shine, and we started doing our moves, and that's how you get the recognition, because that's how you're telling them, see, I know how to wrestle. This is how I defend myself. In Mexico, normally matches are 3 falls. And I picked him up on the 3rd rope and put him on my shoulders and put him on a hold. I won the first fall, and then he won the second fall with a tope and I think the tapatía. When I would go to my corner, Pimpi would do air with a towel for me, and I hear the reaction of the people, which is very important because those are the ones that keep you going. And then the third match, the third fall is when everything goes to the oven. Like, you gotta throw everything you know there, but you're already tired. It just came to a moment where I couldn't go any more further, but I knew I had done enough, like, to prove myself. And I was like, okay. And once he put me on his de a caballo, on a hold that he's called, it's like a horse. I was done. I was done. My back was done, and I just tap out. And that was it. And then everybody was kissing my ass after that. All the reporters that were dumping on me, they were all like kissing my ass and, oh my God, that was great, good job, and all this. And I'm like, wow, are you serious? I felt good. I knew that I had done enough work to be recognized and to shut the mouth of all those guys that were trying to be the joy killers.
Cassandro went on to have an amazing career.
So I went from wrestling El Hijo del Santo in 91 and not winning the championship to winning it later on, months after that match, in November 29th in Toluca versus Leicester. And I get crowned as the first Exótico to be the world lightweight champion. And everybody was happy, and La La Land was for me.
He became one of Mexico's most beloved luchadors. After 2 decades of professional wrestling, he was a cultural icon. The Louvre called Cassandro up in 2009 and asked him to reenact one of his favorite matches for Paris Fashion Week. He could pick any opponent he wanted. Cassandro looked back on 20 years of fighting, of fame, and he picked this match, his first fight with El Hijo del Santo.
And we do our matches. Everything went well. So the next day we had 3 days off. And then I told him, like, hey, let's go to the Eiffel Tower. Let's go hang out. Let's have a talk. And he's like, yeah, let's go. And we were tired and went to have a cup of coffee. And I popped the question. I'm like, hey, I'm curious. So how was it that you agreed to wrestle an Exótico for the championship match? And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I'm curious. How did all this happen? He's like, you know what? Mr. Minus came and talked to me, and he said, there's this wrestler. He's very talented. Would you give him a chance for the championship belt? And he's like, well, yeah, of course. Why not? And then they told him who it was, and it was me. And they said, well, Casandro, he's from Juarez, but he's an Exótico. And he's like, wait a minute. No. So he said, so when they told me that it was you, I went to some of the events where you were fighting, and I don't know, something was different from you. And I liked your rhythm, and it looked like you have talent. I knew you were too new for me, but then I said yes. And then when we fought, I knew I wanted to wrestle you. And it was very beautiful. And then he goes, how did you feel about it? I said, no, you don't even know what I went through about it. He's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And then I said, I almost died before the match. He was like, what? Yeah. I started showing him my wrists. And he's like, what, Casandrito? What happened to you? And you know what? We got to talk about it, and then we just hugged and embraced each other. He said, damn, I didn't knew you went through all this stuff just for a championship match. I said, it wasn't for a championship match. It was for my opportunity to come to show off and thank you, because of that match, I know and I believe that my career took a hike, and it's been the most beautiful thing.
Thank you, Cassandra, for sharing your story with Snap. The original score was by Leon Morimoto. It was produced by Eliza Smith. Around the world and back again, if you missed even a moment, know that the Snap Judgment Storytelling Podcast is available right now, wherever you get your podcasts. From KQD's secret underground lair, Snap is brought to you by the team that does the hokey pokey, and they turn themselves around, except for the Uber producer, Mr. Mark Ristich, because of course, that's what it's all about. Now there's Nancy Lopez, Pat Mesiti-Miller, Anna Sussman, Renzo Gorio, John Facile, Shayna Sheely, Teo Ducat, Flo Wiley, Bo Walsh, Marissa Dodge, David Exame, and Regina Bediaco. On Team Snap, the union-represented producers, artists, editors, and engineers are members of the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians, Communications Workers of America, AFL-CIO, Local 51. And this is not the news. No way is this the news. In fact, you can tell everyone that Stevie Wonder is coming to your birthday party, knowing good and well that Stevie Wonder is not coming to your birthday party, and you would still not be as far away from the news as this is. But this is PRX.
Minions don't wait, especially for Wi-Fi. Summon same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity and get the same price for 5 years. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.